Hello, okay, it's story time. Uh, Dreams. I haven't uploaded a video on dreams in a while, and since that's one of our favorite subjects online, and people tend to talk about their dreams a lot, I figure I would share an updated video of my dreams with Santa Muerte. Go on, go on. Okay, so we're going back to October of 2020. Uh, Toads with glowing yellow and red eyes staring at me, and I'm holding them by my face. Sinister looking. And a painting of a large Santa Muerte statue. Okay. Another one in October. You and me, whispered in my ear by Santa Muerte in a voice like mine, but masculine and feminine all at once. And talking to the lechuza. I guess I was talking to an owl, or she was talking to a barn owl. Santa Muerte touching and talking to me. She's in white, black, and red robes, changing and flowing. So the colors are intermingling with each other, and she's levitating. She's a little amped up. That's what it says. November. A woman in purple has her head wrapped and standing outside in the street, clenching her fists like she's frustrated, and has told me something a billion times, but I don't listen. She was about in her 80s. She was Hispanic or Romani. And there was a crown flashing. It reminded me of Santa Muerte. So I can imagine how frustrating it must be if you were on the spiritual side of things, the spiritual realm, and you're trying to tell something to somebody and they just don't listen. I can only imagine how frustrating that is. So December of 2020, red and white statue. So that must have been one part of the dream. Kept seeing a skull, like the misfit skull. I dreamed that women... I wonder if I shared this before. I think I might have. I dreamed that women started a gang with Santa Muerte in which they were either a blanca, a roja, or a negra. And I know how that sounds, but it's not meant to sound that way. To be a blanca, you had to be saintly, practically a nun. To be a roja, as you would probably guess, you had to cover yourself in red pinstripe tattoos all over your body and essentially sleep with every person you knew. To be a negra, you had to commit yourself to the darkest of workings and basically be the old hag in the woods. In the dream, the roja lifestyle looked so fun. But when I found out you had to sleep with all these mob bosses, I was like, yeah, no thanks. I don't need to get ahead in life in that way. Maybe I wanted to be a negra instead. That sounds so bad, but anyway. Take it to your room. But anyway, yeah, so I remember portions of that dream. I was at a public affair, like a market street days, where a bunch of vendors get together and they sell their own handmade or their own items that they have from their self-owned shops. And it was kind of in this, not auditorium, but in this like outdoor market, and I was at a stand where they were selling like nachos, and they were selling like Frito pies and, pickles and all that, like a concession stand. And I remember looking at one of the girls who was a roja, and she had pinstripes. Perfectly lined, man. Whoever the tattoo artist was in that dream did a phenomenal job. But pinstripes are like, you'll see pinstripes a lot on old lowrider cars. So you see probably the correlation here. Pinstripes all up and down her arms and all down the sides of her body, all all the way down to the tips of her toes. And she was wearing black fishnets and like cut off black shorts with like a studded belt with a corset, and like real chola looking makeup, long black hair and long red nails. And she was real light complected. And she was just like buying food, but she was taking the food back to like these gangster mobster guys. And I remember I was wearing something kind of slinky. In my dream, I was much thinner and I had makeup and everything. And I was like, so what's up? Like, what's the deal? And she's like, oh, like, you got to do this and this and this to be a roja, like, the money's flowing and I got a badass car and I eat whatever I want, do whatever I want, but at the same time, I'm basically like these mobsters' call girl, and they're basically like my sugar daddies, but on a more strict leash. But I can do whatever I want. And I was like, that sounds way too restrictive. And so then I started thinking to myself, and I started asking her questions. I was like, so what's this roja or whatever? And she started explaining to me, like, there's 3 groups. Ones that would never associate with her because of the likes of her sinner, like lifestyle. And they don't associate with the negra ones either because of their sinister lifestyle. And then the negras group don't associate themselves with either the blancas or the rojas because they're too submerged and they're too reclusive to be involved in all those dramatics and shenanigans. Their life was purely spiritual, solo, solitary practitioner kind of way. So, you can see how that would have been divided. So anyway, that was an interesting little formula there. Anyway, so we go to another one in December, and it says now this doesn't have much to do with Santa Muerte other than the last part. Linking aliens with Maya and Aztec history. Dreaming aliens have a lot to do with stuff regarding Mayan history, and that the closer someone gets to Santa Muerte, the more they study Mesoamerican history, and the closer they get to the truth about ancient encounters. So then we have, let me see, March. We skip all the way to March. Okay. Me and my husband and my son were living in an old mansion, but in a part of the mansion that was trashed. It was a tiny little room. The owners gave us permission to fix it up, so we started cleaning things out. In the room we slept in was an attic and a ramp leading up to our floor. So it was below us and it was leading up to our floor. It's full of trash and vermin, and it was probably about 3 times bigger than the room we were staying in. Like, the room we were staying in looked like an old college bedroom, like a college dorm. It was kind of trashy, but totally livable if we fixed it up the right way. Wooden floorboards, white walls that were stained, old posters hanging off the wall, nothing we couldn't handle, and like a crappy mattress on the floor. Then on the right-hand side of the room, as you're facing the door, was this door that would flip open. And you open it, and it's just like spider-webbed atrocity of a trashed room. And then that's what happened next is a black raggedy cat was living there, and he started talking to me. And there was a little girl who was obviously homeless, and her hair was all stringy. She was Mexican, and she wouldn't talk to me. And she was just living there like all skinny and to herself, like hidden away. And the cat, we started cleaning in there, and that's when the black cat tells me that I'm going to be hurt because the neighbors are Santa Muerte devotees, and they believe that we harmed the little girl, and for that we're in trouble. And I told the cat I'm also a devotee, and that's ridiculous, because I have a great relationship with her, and what reason would I have to harm this little girl? We just moved in. I don't even know who she is. And the cat was like, it doesn't matter. They're after you. I'm just warning you, they're gonna come after you. And the name Molango came up for some reason. I spoke to the men, the next door neighbors that were trying to cause trouble, and they didn't seem to care. They were old cholos, they were like, we're not going to listen to you, they were very chauvinist and very like machismo. And they just grabbed the little girl from the attic and they just took her and they left. And it got me thinking in the dream, like, was this a setup? Like, this just played out too smoothly to be something other than some kind of setup to either get us evicted or to cause trouble or to just, or they're just being assholes, which sometimes people tend to be. So I started questioning it, but that was weird. Anyway, so the next dream was in April, and it said aloe. She came in a dream to me that night really quick and told me to use the aloe to heal. I don't know which method exactly, but hey, a clue is better than no clue. I didn't know. A picture of the aloe flashed and La Blanca popped up, and it was just like, use the aloe to heal. And I was like, but how? Drink it? Eat it? Put it on my skin? Use it in magical workings? Like, what do you want me to do? But then I told myself, well, a clue's better than no clue at all. So. And then this last one was in May. I dreamed I went to someone's house, and in their closet, they had Santa Muerte figures on a chessboard. Now, they didn't have them strategically placed. They just had them, like, the chessboard was like the altar. And they had varied types of statues. So I put my Santa Muerte figures, on the opposing side of the chessboard. And two of which were the light up kind that my husband makes. So they were little. And they were placed as pawns. So they were on the front line. I got a bad feeling about it. So I stood up, and as soon as I walked away, my two that I placed on the chessboard fell down, like someone pushed them. Then someone started to pull me in the closet, but it was an invisible force. They started to pull me by my leg, and they were pulling me into the corner of the closet. I was screaming loud, but no one listened to me. It finally let go, and I took my figures off the board. I think I heard a growl. The chessboard was next to a pile of clothes on the floor, and the force pulling me came from the corner of the closet. So let me just say that force felt masculine. I felt like a masculine hand around my ankle. And I remember seeing in my mind's eye, in my dream, I remember seeing a black hand, masculine hand grabbing my ankle. And this thing that was pulling me, I remember it wasn't to feed off of me. It wasn't for scare tactics. It was because there was a message. And not necessarily a message to help me, but just a message in general. Like, you need to know something. And I remember being very upset because that was allowed to happen to me, And I think that when we have dreams like that, they're very hard to decipher, and people get very frustrated because they go online and they want somebody to help them decipher a dream, especially if, the person has experience in that area. Dream analysis or with Santa Muerte or with occult studies or with magic or whatever. They're like, help me out. I want to know what this means because obviously I can't decipher it. And unfortunately, the best response is you figure it out. And the reason that is not to be mean. It's because you associate what you dreamed different than what I associate. We might have some commonalities in what we see things represent, but your understanding and interpretation of one particular symbol in your dream might be completely different from what I associate. It's one of those situations where like you had to have been in my dream to understand my dream kind of thing. So now, before I would try to help people with dream analysis, and then they would always come back to me and be like, no, it actually meant this. So I just gave up trying to help people do dream analysis. Like, I'll take a shot at it, but it's not something that I wouldn't invest a lot in my analysis of your dream, because it's not my subconscious, it's yours. And it's not my understanding of something, it's yours. So whether you understand it in that moment or not, or whether you're racking your brain trying to understand it because you feel like it's a message, or whether you're one of those people that just jots it down and waits for it to make sense later, I would say have patience, because sometimes dreams don't make sense until all of the factors play out from one day to the next. It could be, I'm not going to say that some of you don't have the ability of prophetic dreams. You might be able to tap into that field of knowledge, that etheric field of knowledge that some of us have the ability to tap into, and you might be given yourself future knowledge. You know it, and you don't know it. You don't know that you have that ability yet. So that's a distinct possibility. And that's why it doesn't make sense until later. So I would always see it as, take your dreams, write them down, or use an app like I do, and reflect on them later. Give it like a week. But, if you're having those dreams where it feels like it's an impending necessity to decipher it now because it's something you feel is going to happen in the near future, then fine. Do your best to decipher it now. But don't add extra stress to your life by trying to figure something out that doesn't seem as though it needs to be figured out in that moment. If it's you feel it's a message, you'll get the message. You'll understand it. You really won't need to figure it out. It should feel like common sense, because it came from your subconscious. It was you that told you, basically, in so many ways. If you're getting messages, it is your subconscious that is being utilized to transcribe those messages. So even though the symbology might not make sense, usually the first impression you get is the genuine meaning. Whether you like it or you don't, that's up for debate. You're not always going to like the messages we're given. But I say, better a warning than no warning at all. Especially if the dream is about a warning, or a suggestion, or action you have to take, or what have you. So anyway, thanks for watching this nearly 20-minute long video and being comfy with me here on the couch. And thanks for listening to my dreams, which I haven't had too many of her lately, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's probably just because I've been busy. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.